Hey everyone, welcome to Industry Headlines. Kevin Kaufman and Fred Weaver here with you, and the headlines keep rolling this week.
They do. This is an interesting first one that we have. California nears statewide rent control.
Yeah, so you and I are having a discussion about this kind of off camera, right? Asking ourselves the question, like, how many states could we name that had rent control? You brought up Oregon because it was in your recent memory.
Right.
I had no idea Oregon earlier this year adopted some statewide rent control. Of course, like in my head, I think like New York, New Jersey,
sure,
you know, some of those. There's not a lot of statewide rent control out there. So California, being the size it is, having the population that it has, adopting a statewide rent control is very newsworthy in my opinion. And just so we're clear, this particular rent control has already passed both California legislative bodies, and it's expected to be signed off by the governor of California here this week.
That's pretty, I mean, that means it's, I don't want to say it's done because I suppose the governor could change their mind. And
well, the governor has gone on to be quoted in some of the articles I read, like saying the rent is too damn high was one of his quotes.
I guess he agrees with it.
So anyway, I think he's going to sign off on it is kind of what I'm guessing.
So this bill is going to cap annual rent increases by 5%, including the rate of inflation. So essentially what they're saying is you just can't raise the rent more than 5% annually.
Correct. Absolutely.
It's not saying you can't charge whatever you're charging.
Yeah, but that's a big, interesting deal, just given what's going on with California prices in some parts of the country, people that own properties. So it's gonna be really interesting to see how that plays out, how that affects investment purchases and things of that nature, how this is controlled, right? California, maybe you know this, Kevin, but California has a problem with sometimes like actually like enforcing some of their own laws. Every state has that issue, but they're a big state with budget problems. So how they'll actually implement this is kind of curious to me too, just to see how this will all play out.
Budget problems.
I was being nice, okay?
Yeah.
All right. I mean, I drive through San Diego County, right? And I wonder like if they'll ever spend money on their roads because it's full of potholes.
Clearly not. I guess they just figured they got the weather. Speaking of San Diego, though, there's some news around San Diego with Zillow offers. Rolled out and went live in San Diego last week. I mean, that's big stuff.
And before you tune us out, we're not going to tell you every time an iBuyer goes into a new market, because for those keeping score at home, this is Zillow's 17th market in the last,
year
and a half, 17 months, something like that, perhaps. So that's not newsworthy, just every time they go into a new market. Here's what's newsworthy. What's newsworthy is that this is a very pricey county, San Diego County, and it's not necessarily filled with all tract homes. Certainly we can go into Chula Vista and some of the south parts of San Diego County and find a little bit more of those tract homes, but the price point that most of these homes are at exceeds some of the buy boxes that Zillow has in other markets. That's what's interesting to me.
Yeah, I mean, to me, this is going to be a fun one to watch, to see how they do there. My guess is the other iBuyers are watching and they're going to sort of learn from Zillow, see how they handle this market, because it is so much different than the other 16 markets that they're in. I'm interested to see how do they expand their buy box? What do they learn from that? Does that let them expand their buy box, say here in Phoenix where you and I reside? I'm really interested to see what happens with the Zillow offers in San Diego. I think this is a big deal personally.
Yeah, and I want to kind of mention this. To me, this stands out as almost as kind of monumental. This was before Industry Headlines, but when I think it was Open Door went into Minneapolis, I thought that was a big deal. Why? Because you're going into a market that has extreme weather conditions multiple times, months of the year. And so to see these iBuyers now venture into markets that aren't as cookie cutter-esque as Phoenix, Las Vegas, Orlando, Dallas, Texas, right? To get outside of some of these cookie cutter markets and get into the other ones is very interesting to me. So it'll be an interesting thing to watch, just kind of how all this goes down. And I learned something new about Zillow in the past week that I'd like to share. Maybe this is an industry headline in and of itself. Zillow will actually buy condos in all markets. Like we made a big deal about Zillow buying condos just in the Miami market a couple weeks ago, but actually condos fit in their buy box throughout all of their markets, which was pretty interesting to me.
Yeah, I remember you and I talked about that when we first learned about that. That to me, that was news. I don't know, maybe everybody else knew about it. You and I managed to miss that somehow, but my perception was that most people don't realize that Zillow has been buying condos
Yep.
or will buy condos.
Yep. In fact, can we go off on a quick tangent on iBuyers for a quick second? If when you hear iBuyer news, you go, that's not going to affect me. I'm going to challenge you to start thinking differently. Because in Phoenix, Arizona, 5 years ago, you're right, it didn't affect us, right? Today, there's over 1,000 homes every single month being bought and then resold by iBuyers. Zoo, as we like to call them, Zillow, Open Door, OfferPad, and others, right? 1,000 homes a month are being bought and sold by these companies, right?
It's a lot.
That's an insanely high number of homes. So if you're just going to discount it as it's not a big deal, it may not be a big deal the first 6 or 12 months in your market, but it will become a bigger deal over time.
Promise it will eventually.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. All right, moving on. So Ben,
let's move forward.
Move forward. Let's move forward to our next announcement.
Okay.
Or our next headline.
We
Ben
really
Kinney,
need somebody to write these scripts for us.
He's a friend of ours, and he just launched a new coaching program, a new coaching company last week called this is Forward Coaching.
Forward Coaching.
Yeah. So he partnered with one of his early coaches and mentors, Debbie DeGroat, and they have teamed up to form Forward Coaching to bring more coaching to real estate agents. Like, first of all, there's a lot of coaching companies out there. I know that. So this wasn't normally newsworthy, but honestly, this is Ben Kinney, who might be the most visible real estate agent in the country. And he's got a really big, you look at Ben Kinney companies from the tech side, the brokerage side, of course, his team and his expansion teams, he's got a lot going on. And I think this is a pretty cool step for them forward, even a forward step for them to bring coaching out to the masses, not just to agents in his brokerages and not just to the agents on his team.
Yeah, I respect Ben Kinney. I think any real estate industry, regardless of what brand you're at, have to give some respect to Ben Kinney just for his impact on the real estate industry, the different things he's got his hands in, the things he's doing, the businessman that he is. And I know for a fact that Debbie DeGroat has some of the best real estate scripts on the planet. Ben himself shared those with you and I personally many years ago. And so it'd be really interesting to watch this partnership. This is not a new coaching company, just so we're clear. They're existing. I think I read something like 30 coaches already that are coaching, potentially hundreds of agents around the country. But this is just another way for people to get involved with Ben Kinney and, get some great scripts in the process, because I know Debbie has those. So, moving forward, good job.
Ben's made some big moves. He partnered with an agent at a different brokerage recently.
Yep.
He's had a bunch of tech announcements recently, and now moving forward with Forward Coaching. That's a big deal.
All right, let's move onward to our next and last story, which this one stood out to me the most, which is the average FICO score has hit an all-time high.
That's the key right there, all-time high. So it's literally never been higher. So the average score from FICO is now 706, which is a dramatic turnaround from just where we were a decade ago, 10 years ago?
I got to ask, Kevin, are they juicing these scores sort of like Major League Baseball is juicing the home runs this year? Because, what is it, 6, 7 Major League Baseball teams have already hit all-time home run records. It sort of feels that way.
And there's no doubt
I know we're not really talking about sports. I guess we could do another podcast for that. But, what's going on here? It's over 700. It used to be that if you had a 700 credit score, like that was pretty dang impressive. And now the average FICO score is 700. Like I can't even compute that. It doesn't make sense to me, honestly.
Yeah. So the score has gone up now 9 years in a row. So that's another.
Okay.
I think at the end of the day, the key driver of the trend is what you and I talked about and speculated it would be, which is it's the improved economic health, right, of the average consumer. Okay. So as the economy's gotten better and bigger over the last decade, really, what's happened is people become more and more aware of their credit scores. They're able to do stuff about it because there's more money flowing into the economy. And now here we are. I think this is a big deal because what we do is with real estate. That's FICO score is such a big piece of whether or not somebody can buy real estate.
Yeah, I guess to kind of put this in, and I'm not trying to downplay our own story here, but let's give all the facts to it. A decade ago, during maybe the high or certainly the start of the financial crisis, the average score was at 686. Yeah. So actually, that's still higher than I would have guessed, if I'm being really honest with you. But I don't know, perhaps people have better credit than we think they do. If you're a real estate professional out there, that might give you some hope that probably people can buy more than they think they can if the average person out there has these type of credit scores.
I think that's part of it is there are a lot more buyers out there that could be buyers, if you will, or would be buyers. But I look at it this way. 20 points, the average, that's a big number to move. When you look at I don't know how many people have a FICO score, what that is. but it's a lot of people.
Yeah.
In the United States.
I wonder if our children are contributing to the 700 score.
That's
like,
just
do
it.
our own kids have that? I don't know how that all works.
I don't believe that.
But at the end of the day, there is a history here of credit scores, and it has hit an all-time high, and that should say something to us. That's an indicator that the economy has really never been better in the credit scoring age anyway. Whether you think it's artificially inflated or not, or whether you're one of those people that listens to other news stories about the doom and gloom of 2020 that's coming, like media is trying to talk us into a recession. So it's quite funny. It's just gonna be interesting to watch, right? I'm interested in maybe a follow-up on this 6 and 12 months from now to see where it lies. Like, do we actually think it can go higher, or do we think that maybe like this might be the highest?
Who knows? Oh, there's only one way to find out.
Your crystal ball's not working?
I broke it.
You broke your crystal ball again? Okay. All right. Well, thank you for tuning into Industry Headlines. We'll see you back here next week. And make sure you plug into some of our other great podcasts. Lots of great guests coming up very soon on the podcast.
Some really great guests. I'm not going to even tell who they are.
Oh, you're not?
No.
Okay. All right. Follow Kevin on social media. He can't stop sharing about it. Have a great one.
See you soon.
YouTube still. Bye, YouTube.